All right. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you are calling in from. And welcome to the fourth technical webinar for cities on the 2017-2018 One Planet City Challenge, where we will focus particularly on reporting within the Carbon Climate Registry. Can I just get a confirmation that this is being recorded? I will assume it is.
Yes.
Pedro? Perfect. Okay, thank you. All right, so then we can go ahead and get started. Just briefly, my name is Jennifer Lenhart, and I'm the program manager for WWF's One Planet City Challenge.
And my name is Carla Mariño. Thanks, Jennifer. And my name is Carla Mariño. I work here at ICLE with the cCR and also with the project management of the One Planet City Challenge.
Excellent. And so together we will be presenting to you the reason for WWF's One Planet City Challenge, and more importantly at this stage, how to do the reporting. So if you have not had a chance already, we strongly encourage you to read the instructions, which can be downloaded from the Carbon webpage under their partnerships page. This webinar will follow quite closely the instructions for One Planet City Challenge candidates. We will briefly explain the background and purpose for this webinar, and also why cities should participate, the reporting requirements for cities, as well as the timeline. And then Carla will go into further detail on how to register and report on the cCR and data input for OPCC candidate cities. And finally, we will briefly touch on the evaluation criteria that the jury will then use for the later stages of the challenge. If you can keep your questions until the end, that might help us with the flow. This webinar should take roughly an hour, but if you do have questions, I think we can both stay on a little bit longer as needed. So, okay, so without further ado, why would WWF, commonly known as a conservation organization, be focused on cities? Well, it might be interesting for you to know that today is called Overshoot Day. It is the day that we have officially used all the planetary resources for this year, meaning that currently, with modern consumption of greenhouse gases and other resources, we use roughly 1.7 planets globally of resources, which means we're borrowing from the future. Of course, some countries use more resources, some countries use less, but collectively we use 1.7 planets. But of course, we only have one. And so at WWF, we believe that One Planet cities are cities which enable all people to thrive and prosper while respecting this ecological limit of our one and only planet. And so a little bit of a background of why WWF has joined the cities debate. Cities are responsible for roughly 50% of global population, and those populations are growing. They are also responsible for 70% of greenhouse gas emissions. Interestingly, despite this, cities are already incorporating ambitious actions to address climate change and other sustainability challenges. They are also places of investment where investments in infrastructure and policies can help to really turn the tide and change cities from places of pollution to places of smart solutions. And so WWF sees itself in this debate as a bridge builder. How can we link cities and citizens? How can we help to incentivize local governments to do their reporting and to kind of push for stronger climate action And importantly, how can we link up to relevant organizations such as ICLEI, for example. And so for the last 5 years, WWF has been working on the City Challenge. It was formerly called the Earth Hour City Challenge, and this year we changed the name to the One Planet City Challenge, in particular to reflect this focus that we have only one planet, and cities in their consumption and planning and policy should really focus on this one planet reality. So with this challenge, we want to challenge cities to report actions and commitments to focus on a one planet future, and particularly focused on climate change. Since 2011, 328 cities have thus far participated in the OPCC. These are ambitious cities with strong climate actions. Since 2011, we have focused and teamed up with ICLEI to make this competition international. Just as a bit of background, the very first year the challenge was run, it was run only in Sweden. And after that, we had 6 countries participating, and then 15, and now 30 countries participating. Within this, we have a focus on both national as well as global winners. And these cities, which are selected at these different scales, are done so by an international expert jury. Just a few of the cities that have thus far won. This includes global cities from different parts of the planet. So Vancouver, Canada has won, Cape Town, South Africa, Seoul in South Korea, excuse that typo there, as well as Paris in France that won last year. And the pictures here to the right, the top is the mayor of Paris together with the CEO of WWF France celebrating their win under the Eiffel Tower. And then the picture below is the Global Awards ceremony that was held last year in Quito, Ecuador, in conjunction with the United Nations Habitat 3 conference that was held there. Okay, so we were happy to have a very fun and festive celebration with speakers including former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. And there featured are representatives from the different national winners as well as the global winner. So just briefly, the One Planet City Challenge invites cities to really demonstrate what they're doing, to be accountable and transparent in their commitments, to report ambitious commitments. We are really strongly encouraging cities to be ambitious and in line with the Paris Agreement, because we understand the importance of cities to meet these Paris Agreement goals. Further, this year in particular, there is a focus on urban transportation and mobility. And so while we want cities to focus on all the different sectors that are relevant for addressing climate change, we're having a thematic focus on urban transportation and mobility. And this is in order to highlight and learn from what cities are doing, but also to have an additional special mention on what cities are doing on transportation. So in addition to the national and global winners, we will have a second focus and a second kind of media attention towards cities that are very strong in mobility action. Additionally, it's important to really stress here that we understand that cities in different parts of the world have different roles to play. We are working on the City Challenge in 30 different countries in North and South America, Africa, Asia, and Europe. And we will really take a contextual approach to looking at cities and also the resources and governing capacities that they have to address climate change, as well as consumption patterns. So just to stress that it is a global challenge, but we respect the different roles that cities play there within. So just a little bit, a brief focus on some of the reasons why cities should participate in the challenge. Firstly, I would say to raise local awareness among your citizens, and also among different departments within your local government of why and how your city is addressing climate change. Of course, media attention, positive media attention is always very useful. Additionally, cities will receive feedback on their strategies and their reporting. And here, maybe I should already mention that if you are able to report before the August 12th deadline, ICLEI will review your reporting sheets and offer feedback to you already now so that you can resubmit and improve your chances for becoming a finalist or a winner. Of course, the importance of learning and sharing among cities is also extremely important, sharing among your peers, both nationally and also internationally. We also value the importance of collectively reporting on a globally recognized platform, which is the Carbon Climate Registry, and its success builds when more cities report there. And then this data can be further used to really highlight how cities are doing on climate change. In doing so, cities can help put collective pressure for additional support for urban climate action at the national and international levels. And finally, at WWF, we are proud of the cities that we have worked with thus far together with ICLEI, and we want to recognize those cities that do participate in the challenge, both at the national and international scales, and put your city on our map of cities. So here, just briefly, right now we are in the first stage of city reporting. So the next pre-deadline is again on the 12th of August, and the final deadline is on the 29th of September. So if you do want to participate, you have to do it by that date. And that is the cutoff also so that ICLEI can do a pre-screening of that data, and then that data can also be useful for the upcoming United Nations Climate Change Conference in November in Bonn. We want to stress the importance of cities and climate action, and we need that data for that conference. And then after a pre-screening, 3 to 5 cities per country will be selected to move forward to the finalist round. And then those cities will be assessed by an international consultancy together that will coordinate the process of an international jury. The jury will sit in 2 meetings to assess a national as well as a global winner together with the mobility champions. And then the finalist cities coming here to stage 4 will be invited to participate in a public engagement campaign, which WWF runs in the different countries, called We Love Cities. And this is both a social media campaign, and or if cities choose to do so, it can be with different actions running in the cities as well. And finally, as I showed you, there will be a global awards ceremony rough between June and September of next year. We will finalize that soon. And similar to the event we held in Quito last year, city representatives of the winning cities will be invited to receive recognition for their hard work on addressing climate change. I'm going to skip down here to, again, the 12th of August is an important deadline if you want to have pre-feedback from ICLEI and then resubmit by the 29th of September, which is the final deadline. I'm going to soon come to an end, but just to let you know that if you want to become a One Planet City Challenge candidate, within the cCR, you have to report on 3 of the 4 items in addition to your basic profile, city profile. And this is the targets and commitments of your city, action plans, a greenhouse gas inventory, as well as actions themselves with a focus primarily on mobility. Upon doing so, your city will be recognized as an OPCC candidate. And again, in addition to being able to be selected as a national or global winner, you can also be recognized for your urban mobility actions as an urban mobility champion. So we really want to stress the importance of actions that focus on mobility. Here are a selection of some of the countries that are participating this year. Again, it is a growing challenge. It is not global, namely because we at WWF really want to focus on the local global references. So the different WWF offices in the selected countries have chosen to run the challenge, and that's why these are the countries that you see here. So in addition to the core team in Sweden coordinating the challenge, you can reach out to your specific WWF office with additional questions you might have. Okay, that is all from my side. Carla, do you want to take over?
Thanks, Jennifer. Yes, I will start sharing my screen. Okay, are you able to see my screen right now?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. Thanks for attending, and thanks, Jennifer, again. So today I'm going to talk to you about the cCR, the Carbon Climate Registry. So just as a background, because I know many of you are already familiar with it, the Carbon Climate Registry is the world's leading platform for cities, towns, and regions to voluntarily report their climate commitment and action. And it was launched in 2010 at the World Mayor Summit on Climate in Mexico City. And it's operated by the Bonn Center for Local Climate Action, hosted by ICLE. So myself, I'm here from Bonn. And the cCR compiles data several aspects on, for example, greenhouse gas emissions, energy, climate hazards, targets in regards to emissions reduction, adaptation and resilience, renewable energy, and energy efficiency. And the cCR enables to the reporting entities to track the mitigation and adaptation actions that are planned to reach their targets, these reported targets. Yeah, so that is a little bit of the background of the cCR, and now I'm going to just quickly go into how cities can report for the city challenge and what are the elements of reporting. So let's go. So as some of you might already know, we have a new website. So we relaunched our website, and so you will see that at carbon.org there is a new image. So there you'll be able to see this screen. And to participate in the city challenge, you need to register as a cCR reporting entity. And for that, you need to create an account and then provide some basic city information, basic contact point information, and agree to the terms and conditions, and then confirm, and you will see this this screen that is there, and then just click, and then we will receive an email, and we will activate your account. With that, you'll be able to open your cCR account, and that is what you will see. You will see a cCR account overview with the name of your entity and the name of the head of the entity, of the government, and with a photo. And there you'll be able to see this bottom OPCC registration. That's what you have to accept the terms and conditions and then confirm. Then again, we will receive an email, and if you are in a participating country, we will accept your participation in the City Challenge, and you can start reporting. This can be done before reporting or after reporting. So one doesn't prevent you from the other. So I just want to stress that cities can already start reporting before they get the confirmation of being participant to the City Challenge. And they will be accepted to participate in the City Challenge if they are in one of the participating countries, with which you can see in the instructions in the map. Also in the websites from WWF and from ICLEI. So that is the first steps. Then cities need to start reporting, and how they can do this. So there are two cases. The cities that have already reported to the cCR before, or even maybe participated in the City Challenge, previously known as the Earth Hour City Challenge, and the cities which are new. So to see the data that was already reported previously, this is the place. So when you go into your city cCR account, you will see this reporting status, and that is the data that can be downloaded. So that includes GPC, simplified inventories, government inventories, energy performance data. So that is data that you can see that we have stored in the database. No? Now, to report new data, cities need to go to download new reporting sheets, and there they will be able to download their pre-populated reporting forms, which are unique to each city. No? So each city needs to go to the cCR account and download their pre-populated forms. If cities are experiencing any issue, any problem, please contact us, and we will facilitate this. We will send them directly the reporting forms. But please note that these forms are unique to each city. So from here, they are able to report the core sheet, and I will explain what is the structure of this core sheet, the actions sheet, and the simplified inventory, which is a greenhouse gas inventory, which is not compliant with the GPC. Now, so that is what is the overview of your cCR account and how the data should be downloaded. No? So previously reported data or new data that cities want to report. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask it in the end of this webinar. Now let's go already to data input. So as I said before, I'm going to tell you a little bit on the structure of the reporting elements. So essentially, there are two forms that we are using the most, which is the core reporting form. And within the core reporting form, you can see we have several elements, which is the account info, the profile, targets and commitments, action plans, GPC, energy performance, greenhouse gas, government inventory, adaptation and resilience, and mobility data. So all that you can find inside the core sheet. Now, a separate reporting form is going to be used to report any action in adaptation or mitigation. And that is a singular sheet, and for each action that the city wants to report, they need to submit a separate file, an individual file. No, please make sure this is done, because this is required for us to be able to upload the data in a timely manner. If you copy and paste the tabs, then we won't be able to upload the actions if they are in the same sheet. So please just download a new sheet, or ask us if you are not able to do so, and then report one action per action, one action form. Okay, so now you already know the two main forms that we use, and then there is the simplified inventory sheet. But we encourage cities to report their greenhouse gas inventories according to the GPC, which is found in the core sheet. You can also download the third sheet, the simplified inventory. It's available on the cCR account, and please ask if you have any question in regards to that. Now let's look already at the contents of each element of the reporting. Let's start with the core sheet. So we will go and see now what's in account info to report. In account info, we have very basic information, so to say, but very important information that should be reported accurately and precisely. For example, cities can report coordinates. They need to report the accurate coordinates, but also precise. We ask that they report at least 3 decimals. Otherwise, towns or cities which are not so big, for example, they can be misplaced by a few kilometers, and that is not good for the city. In the map, no? In the map of the cCR reporting entities. Then in this same sheet, there is a place for a liaison contact. Also, please provide the most updated updated information here, because this is what will be used in case that is needed. Moving on to the city profile, this is a very important sheet as well, because it provides the context for the city in different dimensions. No? So cities can, first of all, give an introduction of themselves to the world that is seeing this in their city profile. So this is recommended that the city does it in English, no? So that everyone else can see this little introduction of the city. Let's see at Umea's example. I'm just going to highlight the relevant parts. So Umeå is the center of growth in northern Sweden, doubling its population over the last 50 years. One of Europe's fastest growing cities, one of 7 strategic long-term objective states that Umeå's growth is reached with social, ecological, and economic sustainability, aiming towards the vision of 200,000 citizens in 2050. Relevant peer city for Europe, living in medium-sized cities, ready to use demos examples, and initiative of smart, sustainable, and inclusive growth. So that is one good example, because it gives relevant features of the city other than those that already are included in the sheet. Now, some cities, for example, are stating that the city of this with the population of these many inhabitants. That's not a really good description, because this is data we already collect somewhere else. So this is a place to actually describe what are the special features and characteristics of the city. All this other information, this geopolitical information such as area, geographic type, population change, GDP, main economy sector, annual government operational budget, city can report as well, and we ask that this is done in a consistent way. We will look at these numbers, and if some numbers, for example, the GDP, are not looking consistent with the population, we are going to make an observation and ask the city to report a number that is more consistent. No, because we really want to make sure that we collect data that has a level of quality. And also very important, because in our new website we have a city profile which is featuring all these important data points of each city. So these are going to be shown big, and yeah, this will be a presentation card for each city. So it is very important that these numbers are accurate. So in the second part of the city profile tab, there is information on planning and commitments and governance. So we are going to see examples as well in mitigation and adaptation. Here, the cities ask whether they have any commitment or plans, no? And later on, they will be able to report this in the action plans section. And also, we ask that the city reports consistent, no? So we ask them if they have commitments or plans here, and then in the action plans, if they have plans, they should report these plans in mitigation or adaptation, and they can select the plans and they can describe it, and we will see that in a minute. So we ask cities here to describe what is their general sustainability goal, what is the access of that goal, What are factors that amplify climate change? For example, an old population that is more vulnerable to extreme climate events, or the location of the city along the coastline. The impact in businesses, for example, infrastructure that is damaged by sea level rise, affecting supply chains, insurance costs, and that, and all of this in the context of the city, no? And that is the relevant part. So let's look at Umia's example. Impact in business, positive effect and negative effect on agriculture and forestry around Umia. Future increased precipitation and temperature may result in increased harvest. Increase of pests affecting the crop. Shorter period of snow may have a negative effect on winter-based tourism. So that is all relevant information, and we ask that this is done in this format, short and concise, but clear, no? Now let's look a little bit at the governance section, again in mitigation and adaptation. And here cities will be asked to describe a little bit on the process that they have for reviewing in general climate change processes. So is there a system for measuring the outcomes? Let's see at the example. The strategies in the comprehensive plan are being monitored frequently. A web-based tool called Quality of Life Barometer shows the progress in local environmental and public health. The Travel Survive is a way on how to plan public transport, how to develop walking and cycling routes, etc. So very short and concise, explaining what is actually, in a nutshell, how they are reviewing their processes in regards to climate change. Let's look at this impact of national activities, and this could be positive, or this could be also negative. Positive, for example, through programs, umbrella programs, or negative to constraints or barriers. UMEA implements and adapts to national and regional objectives. Sweden has some of Europe's most ambitious objectives regarding climate change. There is national funding for projects functioning as a catalyst effect on some of the city's activities. National taxes on fossil fuels also make the shift to renewable energy more financially lucrative. Master planning and greenhouse gas emission reduction targets. So we are asking if the city has already included this in their overall planning, if they have any greenhouse gas emission reduction targets. UMEA's comprehensive plan's main focus is sustainability. Shift from car dependency towards sustainable transport. The majority of urban growth should be within a 5-kilometer radius and along the public transport system main line. Pedestrian, bicyclists, and public transport passengers are prioritized. The comprehensive plan outlines the development of the city within an outlook to 2050. And then drivers for tackling climate change and economic opportunities. Drivers such as impacts that are already observed, for example, or making sure that there is a resilient city that can attract businesses and keep businesses. Let's look at the example of UMEA for economic opportunities. Climate change have a positive effect on agriculture and forestry around UMEA with future increased precipitation and temperature. Several initiatives regarding business models and innovative solutions on sustainable biofuels may have a chance to expand. Okay, so that is in regards to city profile. Now let's go to the third tab, which is targets and commitments. And as you can see in the screen, we have different targets and commitments, and there are also types of targets. So I'm going to show you these ones. We have greenhouse gas emission reduction targets. We have renewable energy targets. We have adaptation and resilience targets. We have other mitigation targets, and we have energy efficiency targets. And there, in each target, we have different ways in which the targets are expressed. No? So, for example, in greenhouse gas emission reduction targets, there are 4 types of this kind of target, which are baseline scenario, absolute base year, carbon intensity, and fixed level. They are different because of the way in which they are accounted for reduction. So, for example, a carbon intensity target is a target that is a reduction in regards to, for example, 1 unit of energy or one unit of GDP. So that reduction will be seen in regards to that, no, to GDP or per capita. We also have baseline scenarios, so in regards to a year with a certain scenario of assumptions that are most likely to happen, or we have a fixed level and an amount. So those targets you can find, how to come up with these targets you can find in the GPC. In chapter 11, there is a guide for that, and we adhere to those guidelines to reporting the targets. Then we have renewable energy targets. Again, we have four kind of targets here in regards to whether these are measured in the energy consumption of renewable energies, that mean megawatt hours, or whether we are looking at a city that is wanting to install capacity, that's megawatts of renewable energy, or simply in shares of final energy consumption, final renewable energy consumption, or a share in the primary energy mix. Those will be percentages, no? And then we have targets in energy efficiency, which can be either in final energy or in the primary energy mix. Yeah, so an improvement in those areas. Now let's look at one example, and also let's look at all the data points that we need to have to report the targets. So we need a description of the target. And why we need a description? We need a description because we need to compare that the target is appropriately selected in regards to the type and in regards to the values that are given according to the units, which again depend on the kind of target. So let's look at UMIA's case. We have the description. UMIA Energy has an overall objective to be climate neutral in 2018. Type: baseline scenario reduction target. Boundary: government operations. Units: tons of CO2. There are other possibilities for that, which there is only one more, which is tons of CO2 equivalents. Again, it is important to stress which kind of units we are talking about. And then the target value, 100%. Target year 2018. And we need to provide also a base value and a base year in relation to which the target will be measured. Also, I have left here this adaptation and resilience target because for this one target, we also need to provide the means of measuring. So this means that the city itself will have to say what is their target in regards to adaptation or resilience and how they are going to measure its success. And this is really important, that these are concrete means of measuring, concrete indicators. So please also note that. We also need an adoption year, and that is all in regards to the target. Now let's look at the action plans. As some of you already may know, the City Challenge is looking now more at the action plans. Instead of reporting several actions, they would like to see more action plans being reported, no? So in the tab 4 of the core sheet, cities can report their action plans in regards to mitigation or adaptation. And these plans have to be overarching. That means they are looking at different sectors and they are not only from one. Cities can also report action plans for one sector, unisectoral, but these need to be reported in actions. Please ask me if you have any confusion in regards to this. Just here, I will show you examples with UMIA. So, action plan for decreasing greenhouse gases. This is a mitigation plan, right? So, contains 28 different mitigation measures in 8 different areas: building, energy efficiency, waste, transport planning, etc. The action plan complements other existing strategies such as the comprehensive plan and air quality management plan. Main focus is mitigation, but it also includes actions focusing on climate adaptation. So it's stating clearly what is the plan about, as you can see. And as you can see, and maybe just to keep in mind in order to see the difference between action plans and actions, is that action plans, it's a set of actions that are supposed to be implemented in a period of time. Not very strict in when they will be implemented, but normally there is a year and a plan, no? So we ask that the cities report that here, something more concrete. Then let's look at this adaptation and resilience. Comprehensive plan for sustainable city. The city are considering the effect on future climate change as a serious threat to the region. Umea have a big river that's running through the city, and in our comprehensive plan for the city, we are taking precaution for floods, flood caused by extreme rainfall. We are expecting more extreme weather. Working closely with the University of Umea in this matter. So also a little bit talking on how the city came with the plan. How was the stakeholder involvement here? There is a place where cities can provide that information and is relevant for the city challenge. The jury will be looking at how the citizen participation was taken into consideration to come up with the plan, but also how citizen participation is looked at for the implementation of the plan. So to come up with the plan and then how the plan considers this in its implementation. And this is the place, there also, it can be a mitigation or adaptation, or it can be both. That is also the case. Many cities have these integrated plans. So here, what cities need to report is the supporting document, and we ask that cities send this document along with the report. And if they are reporting in that local language, in order for the external company that will be doing the evaluation, there is the need of also sending an extract of the supporting document in English with the relevant information that you are stating in the reporting form. No? Then there is a place for a summary, which has to say what is the plan, how is the plan intending to achieve their outcomes, and what should be the outcomes, what sectors are being covered, just like you saw in the examples, no? Then there is a place where, as I mentioned before, in regards to public participation, how public participation is part of the plan. Is the plan only addressing infrastructure intervention, or is it also including citizen engagement and participation? If so, exactly how? Through awareness, for example? And then stakeholders engagement. How was the process of involvement of the stakeholders in the process to come up with the plan? Has it been a consultative in place, for example, a consultative process? If so, how? With the citizens, with the industry, with universities? Please specify that. This is also relevant for the city challenge. Specifically, they will be looking at this. Now, the second section of the action plans, cities are able to tick the sectors that are covered with the action plans, and just please make sure this is consistent with the type of the action plan that is selected. And then there is a place for providing estimated emission reductions, also renewable energy generation, and this will talk on the capacities of the city and also on their impact. Now, so it is very recommended that cities report this for the evaluation stage. Okay, so now let's go to the GPC inventory. This is the fifth tab, and this is a tab where cities can report their greenhouse gas inventory according to the GPC, no, to the protocol. So in the first part, there is a place where cities can give information about the entity. For example, the reporting period, which cannot be the same as the inventory year. Please note that. So information on the community, such as area, GDP, boundaries, population. Please note that we are going to check that this information is consistent with the one provided in the profile, and that we will make an observation if this information is not right. This is also required now for the GPC, so it needs to be consistent and accurate. And then there is a section to provide some information of the inventory. For example, the supporting documents. Cities need to include the activity data that cause the emissions, the emission factors that were used, and the global warming potential. You can find all of this information in the GPC, to which you can refer to complete this part of the reporting sheet. The tool or the calculator that was used can also be included here to come up, that was used to come up with the inventory, and the verification info if there was a verification in process. So now let's look a little bit on how this sheet looks in regards to what the cities report already in emissions. So there is a place exactly like the GPC, according to the GPC. So cities can report the different greenhouse gas emissions according to sectors and subsectors. And also there is a place where they can choose the notation keys. For example, when an emission has not been estimated or is not accurate, or it's included somewhere else. And then you have here each individual gas, and then also the total in CO2 equivalents. And then in a further section, if you go to the sheet and see there is the activity data assessment. So it is an evaluation of the activity data that was used, and you can look at the GPC for more information on this, whether this was local the data that was used, for example, or data to the national level, and then the emission factors again that were used, whether these were very specific or not. This can also be indicated there. The methodologies that were used according to the GPC, you can find this information as well, and the exclusions. And then comments to explain anything that needs to be addressed. In the end, after the city provides the tons of emissions, there will be a summary table, and we are going to be looking that at least the scope 1 total and by sector will be reported. If this is not coming up, then that means that the inventory has not been completed successfully. So because there is a minimum amount of emission that needs to be reported, and that is the minimum, so scope 1. Okay, so this is the GPC inventory, and now that was all in regards to the core that we are going to address in this webinar, although there are more sheets, but those are the focus of the city challenge. So now let's look at the actions sheet, which is a separate file, and for which, as I already mentioned, you need to submit one action per file. Please remember that. Okay, so let's look at this sheet. The action sheet refers to any kind of climate action that the city wants to report in regards to mitigation and adaptation. There is a place for a name. It is important that this name, it's a descriptive name. That means that it talks already a little bit about the action, of course, in a very short way, but it already gives the action its characteristics. No? So sometimes, for example, we receive actions that are they are named as the project is named in the local language, but that's more difficult to assess because it doesn't have a meaning for somebody who is not familiar with that. So please make sure that this is a title that already describes the action a little bit. Then there is a summary where the city will be able to really explain what is the city doing with the action, what is the problem that the city is addressing with the implementation of the action, what are the outcomes that are expected to come out from the action, no? And then there is a lot of information that can be put, so in that way we kind of look at the action bit by bit. So the type of action, whether this is, for example, an action plan for one sector, like I mentioned before, whether this is an infrastructure intervention, for example, implementation of renewable energy systems of solar panels, whether this is an awareness action, and we are going to be able to see now a few examples from UMIA, and then the climatic focus, whether this is mitigation or adaptation, or whether this is a mitigation action with a secondary focus on adaptation, or vice versa. Please keep in mind that when you later on choose the sectors in which action this will be implemented, these need to be aligned with that categorization. Then the boundaries of the action, the scope of the action, so whether this action is going to for the community or for the government level, and whether the action will impact beyond the borders of the administration or just inside. Then we also are looking at the years that are providing, that means the impact years, and in relation to that, we will look at the status of the action. So please provide the most updated information in regards to that. And if the city has previously reported actions, they can also go to the cCR accounts where I show you, go to the status of reporting, and they can download in a zip file. They'll be able to download what they previously reported in actions, and they can upload this action and resend to us. This will be uploaded, and the evaluation stage, this will also be looked that the cities are updating their actions. And this is important, no, because we want to know what happened with what was said that was going to happen. Here again, we ask for a supporting document. Again, I want to stress here, the summary and the supporting document, they need to provide information in English for the jury to evaluate. So the supporting document can be an extract, very short and concise with the relevant information, and the summary needs to be in English in order to be evaluated. So please keep that in mind. And then some information on multi-level governments. So whether the action is planning for lower levels of government, for example, or is a part of higher levels of government, a set of actions of a higher level of governments, please answer that. And then information on the financial information, so the total budget of the action, the cost for the local government, and also the financial status, also talking about the planning capacities of the city, no? Also, what are the anticipated jobs that this action will bring with its implementation? Now, let's look at the lower section of this same sheet, which is where cities can choose the sectors. So they can choose the sectors, and please remember to choose the sectors accordingly to the type of action that was, to the climatic focus. Also, more specifically, the area of impact, no? And lastly, there is a place where cities can report on primary methods of mitigation. So there is a drop-down list where they can select what kind of action it is more exactly. Also, if it's about, if it's a renewables action, for example, they can exactly choose which renewables. Also provide estimates on emissions reduction, a year or in total, and renewable energy generation and energy savings. So that is all information that benefits the city for the evaluation of the city challenge. So please include that if this is available, no? We will ask for this in any case because it is required. And at last, we have the co-benefits of the action that need to be selected according to the action that is being reported. So please read through this and make sure that this is consistently chosen. Okay, so now let's look at some examples. So we have here a green parking purchase, a model for smart mobility solutions in urban development. Voluntary basis for reduced parking standards for employee parking, less car use, and increased number of pedestrians, cyclists, and users of public transport. So it's really stating what is the objective of the action. It gives the real estate owner the possibility to provide properties with an environmental focus while making savings with fewer parking purchases. The city, on the other hand, will benefit from better conditions to generate growth of a sustainable and high-dense city and reduce car dependency among employees. Let's look at another one. Car and bicycle sharing for employees. A car sharing unit. Some of the cars are driven by biofuel and all of the cars are energy efficient. The car sharing is mainly for the municipality employees, but is also open for the public. The employees can also use the bicycle sharing unit. action plan for better air quality. So this is the one that I was talking about for one sector. Better air quality with action focusing on transport and mobility management. 4 subject areas: actions in street infrastructure, action focusing on the emitting source, governance and influence on traffic behavior, planning and land use. Revised with a wide representation of stakeholders and organizations in the region. Biogas plant in Venice. Actors in the Umia region building a biogas plant in Venice to be used in cars in the Umia regions. Taxi cabs and vehicles at the airport are some of the potential users. 100% renewable electricity. Umia Energy, the municipality-owned utilities companies, offers 100% renewable electricity. 2.3 terawatt-hour a year. About 80% of Umia residents buy electricity here. The remainder from other energy companies on the market. Pedal for Metal. This is an awareness action directed aimed at the Umia's region workplaces by competition in the workplace. The purpose of the Pedal for Metal is to increase the share of work trips and business trips by bicycle while reducing commuting by car in the Umia region. Okay, finally we have the mobility data, which is a requirement to fill for cities that are striving to get the special mobility mention. And the least they need to report if they want to go for that is the modal split, no, of the city. So that is the list. And then there are other features which are, for example, the energy consumption and then like physical aspects, but then also another aspects, for example, road safety, access to public transport, trip duration. And then also a chance for city to report and their mobility plans and what is that they are, what are the priorities in the mobility plans. They can select this in the mobility data tab, which is inside the core sheet. And this is the end of the cCR presentation in regards to data input. Thanks everyone, and we continue with Jennifer.
Excellent. Thank you, Carla. Could you make me presenter again? Is that possible? Excellent. And I just want to say it's a lot of information that Carla was sharing with us, of course. It's but there are a lot of places on the cCR reporting sheets that have drop-down menus and tick boxes. So she went through and explained all the different pieces, and we do want some summaries to really get a better understanding of your cities. But once you start doing it, I think it's a little less overwhelming sometimes than it sounds in a 1-hour presentation. But in any case, very interesting to get this information from so many different cities. So we are excited to have so many on board. So when you are done with the cCR reporting and you have submitted it on the cCR webpage after hopefully the 12th of August, so that you can have a chance to be reviewed and or at the latest by the 29th of September, then there will be first a focus on a quantitative analysis as well as a qualitative analysis. And these two analyses will kind of take all that data that Carla just mentioned and really look for the cities that are performing the strongest on addressing climate change and mobility, as well as energy efficiency, etc. And the importance, in addition to this quantitative crunching of the raw data, the supporting documents that your city can provide, especially if they are in English, as well as small summaries, will help us to really find those strongest examples. From there, 3 to 5 cities will be selected per country to move forward. And then we will conduct local consultations, and these local consultations will be coordinated by WWF Sweden together with Accenture, who is leading this process. And they will reach out to the different WWF offices to see if the cities that came on top reflect what is known in the national context. And then from there, once approved, there will be these 2 jury meetings, as mentioned, one to select national winner, as well as a second one to select the global winner. And we will be in communication with the different cities along the way to let you know if you have made it to those final stages. So I'm going to go just briefly into this because this is all in the reporting instructions as mentioned. And just to give you a highlight of some of the jury that we have had in the past, representing different organizations, including research institutions, United Nations, development banks, consultancies, etc., from different parts of the globe. And a lot of these are leading experts in the field, some of them focused on different regions of the world. So we try to ensure that our jury is balanced in their perspectives as well. And it's important that I also stress here that WWF is an observer in this process, but we do not have a say on the final winners, and we think that makes the process more transparent. That we cannot pick or choose favorites, but that the jury does that themselves. And we work with all cities equally in this process. Yeah, just to kind of finalize before we open for questions here on some of the evaluation criteria. Again, this is in the instructions, so I'll go very briefly. But we're looking for cities that really take a transparent and science-based emission reduction trajectory in line with what is in the Paris Agreement. We're looking for ambitious and strategic action plans to meet the commitments that your city has taken. And also an importance on integration, how the different actions, as Carla mentioned, link together to the overarching climate action plans. We're also there within looking at, comprehensive strategies that try to address multiple challenges. As Carla mentioned, some of the challenges, whether it's an aging population or a flooding river, etc. So how does your strategy try to address several issues simultaneously? We're also really looking at ways of how local governments engage their public, and also how to create co-benefits of actions. For example, actions that result in better air quality or improved local jobs, etc. As I stressed in the beginning, we are really looking at cities that lead with respect to the local context. We know that leadership is different in different national contexts, also in terms of access to resources or the legal mandates to actually govern climate change. So we understand this and respect this, and we will not, or the jury will not assume all cities are like the case of Umeå as presented in this webinar. And finally, as Carla also highlighted, we're really looking for sustainable mobility efforts. So what is your city doing to support slow mobility, for example, walking or cycling, as well as better public transportation or mobility innovations? And these mobility actions will be important for both finalists and winners, but also maybe a city that is not as strong on other categories, but really stands out on mobility, could be separately selected as a mobility champion. So that's all. I did see that there was a hand or two raised. I don't know how to do that. Maybe I'll have Carla or Pedro coordinate that process, but if we have any questions.
Hi, Ankit, you have a question, please. If you can write your question.
Are they able to participate actively, or?
They can write their questions.
Oh, okay, write your question in the chat.
Yes.
Okay.
But
All
I don't
right.
see
So
any question.
yeah, I think maybe we answered it already. Oh, there is a
Yes.
question. Yes?
Okay. Oh, hi. I was not able to hear you, so I raised my hand. Oh, that's a pity.
Sorry for that. Well, just to, I did actually have a challenge a little bit on a little occasional parts of the webinar more than usual. However, this webinar, as well as the webinar that will be held later today, they will both be recorded. And then one of them will be added to ICLEI's website, the cCR website on the One Planet City Challenge page, which I think Carla has already shared with you. And we do encourage you to read the instructions and or watch the webinar again, maybe stopping it along the way to understand the different parts as you need. And you can definitely reach out to us. Our contact information is below, or even better to reach out with your local WWF contact who can, or ICLEI contact who can help you either with the reporting process itself or any questions you may encounter there. Any other questions?
I don't see any more questions.
Okay, well, you have our contact information if you have questions later on, and or happy reporting. It takes a little time. It doesn't take a huge amount of time once you get started. I think it's an easier process than sometimes it looks at the start. But we do strongly encourage you to do it as soon as possible to take advantage of ICLEI's kind offer to review the reporting sheets in advance and improve your chances of becoming this year's, or next year's, I should say, 2018's One Planet City Challenge winner at either the national or global scale. So thank you so much for all of those who have attended from our side at WWF Sweden. And back
Thanks
to you,
from our
Carla.
side. Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. Thanks for our side as well, from here, from Bonn, from ICLEI.
Excellent. All right. Well, happy reporting.
Bye-bye.
Bye.